Hey, Bri, doesn't it suck that the boss is always over our shoulder when we're trying to talk?
Jay, he should be entertained by us. Let's get out of here and finish this conversation.
All right, as long as it's not work-related.
Jay,
Bri!
how's it going?
I am good, buddy. Good stuff.
I want to welcome everyone to the Work Related Podcast.
We are related by work on Twitter.
Yep, our Twitter's crazy.
They'll dump it. Why is our Twitter? I don't know
We've
about
been
that.
tweeting so much.
Oh my goodness! I better double check. I think my internet's down. I think my technology's failing me. Like I'm not getting reception.
I think
It's not because of me. I'll tell you that. I'm staying off Twitter.
why? What's so bad about Twitter?
Nothing really. I love Twitter. I just haven't found the time, I guess, or the need.
Are you going to find the time now that Tucker Carlson's on it?
Wow, you want to jump right into that? You know what? Fuck. I don't know if I have a true opinion on Tucker. Yeah, I might actually.
Okay.
Well,
have you watched any of his stuff before? Like even
Wow.
like short videos or anything like that?
We fucking jumping right into topics.
Absolutely.
Eh? Well, look at you. You got somewhere to go? You got something to cook on the barbecue downstairs?
No, it just flowed better.
I like it. No, you sent me an article about Tucker Carlson. So I don't know much about him. Like you sent me. Sorry, I'm double back. So he got fired from Fox.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to just assume everybody knows, but we don't. Like so I only know him as a fucking loudmouth guy from Fox.
Yeah.
And so right away I shut down anything I think of Tucker Carlson. I don't like him is my first thought.
Okay. I'm the same boat.
Yeah, and so I thought when he got fired, I thought it was funny. I don't know if it's like everything we hear about it, just like from where he's from, it's news. So I don't know if I should believe it or not.
That's true.
Right? Like Tucker Carlson gets fired, and it's for this reason. I don't really know what reason why. I can only know for sure the truth is he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
But is that true? Did they mutually part ways? Or whatever.
Probably not. And I feel like if you've been hearing about the whole Fox lawsuit thing, I feel like it probably stems from that.
So then
that's what I originally thought.
Then when it does come in, so before the Fox News lawsuit thing, like I actually hate Fox.
Yeah.
I've hated CNN before I hated Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know this is how I guess I'll start my story about a Tucker Carlson type of person. Tammy's mom used to love CNN. She had it when it was a news company. And when she was doing shit, she just had it on her TV. Like we shared a house, her TV was down. We had a different room, and it was bad. So it was annoying.
Yeah,
like, we would change it the second we could, like when we wanted to watch something else. But her default was CNN. As it defaulted, and so did her mind. I was just like, this is not helping her. They focus on whatever news story they want to focus on. And then they hammer their point home. This is way before like it got really political or whatever. And so I really started hating how they were presenting news.
Mm-hmm.
I think and I would just not be mad at her, but I was like, oh, they're not rewarding her viewership. They're actually scaring her to death when she started getting like her mind started freaking out. Like she would believe all of the horror stories they said about anybody, and she would take it as gospel. And I think my breaking point was remember like that missing plane in Malaysia, right? And I guess it's a story, but for the whole 2 weeks that it was like a missing. That's all they talked about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was like, I was like, what else? There was to no point. I was annoyed. Like, how can you be a news network
and only cover one thing?
One story for 2 weeks. and I was just like, I was already done with them, but then I just got really done with them. So then a Fox comes in. And then they came like a left and a right side. So it was the beginning of before I heard the word fake news, I was like, this is fake news.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how did your parents watch news? Did your mom watch the Global News or the City TV News?
My parents would watch. My stepdad would always watch CP24.
So like the local news.
Yeah.
Or I guess CP24 became countrywide.
Yeah, it's our thing. They would always watch like BBC because you want to hear what's going on in like Jamaica. They covered a lot of Jamaica stuff, and obviously international. BBC is like an international news channel type thing. So that's usually what they would watch. And then my stepdad later on started watching like CNN and stuff.
Did he did he get into was it his default? Did he like just get only his news from CNN and would he watch it more than anything else?
At first.
Yeah. I don't know how I like CP24.
Yeah.
It still looks like the news to me.
Yeah.
Like there's no editorializing going on in the CP24. Yeah. Like that's how I think news is.
There is, but it just like it's not like the number one thing. It's not like they don't have like prime time shows to editorialize their stories.
So
right?
That's the nail on the head. Prime time shows.
Yeah.
CNN became a prime time show.
Yeah.
They started competing against ER or something like and doing it. So so we all kind of have our thoughts on that. So we get to the new age where Tucker Carlson's like a Rush Limbaugh on steroids, like a Don Cherry, but talking about like real, political things or whatever, and has like influence. I don't know how many times I said I could have agreed with something I thought Tucker Carlson said. It's not often.
Yeah.
Right. Like most of it's just like hate filled clickbait.
And sometimes I remember like I would watch some of his stuff and I'd be like, let me just see if I will agree with Fox. Cause I feel like I can, obviously nobody's fully unbiased, but I feel like I'm as close to unbiased as I'm going to become anyways. And I can watch this. I'm like, no, this doesn't make any sense. Like this, do they know the same story that I know? Do they know something I don't know? But yeah, that's the problem, is that they become so, I don't know if they are, how they say like, people, media funded is like funded by the government and whatever. I don't know if I don't think those are funded by the government, right? I don't know if it's so much funded by a person who has their biases, or are they just leaning into what that station wants to do?
I don't think at one hand, I don't think it matters whatever it used to be.
Yeah.
Right. Because it only matters what it's now.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think they become like sports teams. It's almost like there's only like the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And so if it's like my Leafs, they're having a tough time in the second round. So if you're the Montreal Canadiens station, you're laughing at them, you're mocking, you know what I mean? Like you're pointing out all the reasons why.
Yeah.
And if they made it past the round, they're not going to talk about any of the good things. When you're on the blue channel, the Leafs side, they're going to be like, oh, come on, guys, optimism, like this, like.
And I get that, but the thing is, which is with the difference with sports, obviously, is that you can't lie about the numbers. You can't lie that this person, LeBron James, scored 30 points, right? You can say he had a bad game and he shot 15 for 55. Oh yeah, he scored 30 points, but shit, he had a bad game. But in the news, it seems like they just look at the same thing and they just freaking, both sides just take it away that it doesn't seem factual.
That's a good way. That's a different way of putting what I'm trying to say. It's like, so like I said, the Canadians and the Leafs are reporting on the same thing, but they're just picking their own numbers out of it.
Yeah.
They're looking at, look how shitty they're playing, so look how good we could play.
Yeah.
And then but then it turns, why I'm saying it's wrong is they're taking where it's innocent in sports with the real numbers, and they're taking where it's harder to find the real numbers of the real world news. And they're playing with it like sports, and they're playing us like sports fans. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's like, why would anybody want to fucking watch this Fox News stuff? Well, they grew up in a farm Republican state. Like they hate, they could think all kinds of reasons why to hate the Democrats, just as much as you can, to hate reasons for the Republicans.
Yep.
I think there should be more choices. There should be more centrists. But they pick the extremisms. That's another new word.
Yes.
And they pick those extremes, and that's why like Tucker Carlson becomes Don Cherry, like bombastic, like he almost becomes undeniable because he believes his ideas so much. And when it's so innocent about hockey, right? Like if you hang on to Don Cherry too much, like maybe you could say if you looked at hockey now and then it's like, oh, we should have more fighting. Well, why do you want more fighting? Like they had an article not too long ago, the tough guys of the old are dying 10 years younger. Not even the guys shooting themselves with brain injuries, but the tough guys die 10 years sooner than their counterparts in hockey. And so if we want hockey to last longer or play, like it's got to be this less whatever, like not so Don Cherry-ized.
Yeah.
Right. But you can wish for it. You can look at old highlights and go, oh, nobody hits like Wendell Clark used to. And is it because all the toughness is gone? No, there's a lot of toughness going on in the playoffs still.
I've met Wendell Clark.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I love Wendell Clark. I saw him a couple times. I've seen him at a rehab place when I was getting rehabbed once.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Tammy sat beside him for a whole wrestling card at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Really?
Yeah. Like she'll tell she has a fucking crush on Wendell Clark for so long.
Nice.
Oh, we'll just get
Man, that guy's been all over the place.
Where hasn't he been? Wendell, come on to the show.
Damn.
So I think but that's why we get frustrated, because it comes wrong to do that in the news. So I think he's like, so Carlson is like the head of that. He almost becomes like the poster boy of Fox. And because he gets these ratings, and then in this world of TV, it's just all about the ratings. It doesn't matter what you put on. Mm-hmm. It's just like how many people are watching. And so many people watch Fox News for whatever reason. That's a whole different like fucking argument.
Yeah.
So, but then they become like sycophants. They believe everything he says.
And that's the problem.
Of course it's the problem. And so you follow the stories and all that. So when they've been sued for giving false information, he's had to say like bottom of the page redactions like, oh, I don't consider myself a real news person.
Yeah.
He said that in court.
Yeah, he said it in court. And actually, the owner of Fox had to admit that they were doing false news and stuff like that. Like, all this is all out there. And I don't think anybody really cares.
I think they do. I think it's a slow drip on trying to get like real transparent news.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like the people who are already dedicated to Fox and the people who are already dedicated to CNN, it's very hard to, you're not going to be able to pull them away.
Okay, so I agree, but we also complain or whatever. I complain that there's no real good place to find the news, and I like Twitter. And so this all started with the article that you sent that now Carlson's going to be doing news on Twitter.
Yeah,
he came out with a statement saying, like, I don't even know. We should have listened to it just before we did it. But he's just like, almost like, you guys don't really know the full truth of how network news is brought to you.
He shitted on Fox. He shitted on CNN, basically.
And he brought up an example of like a numbers. He's just like, I'm here to tell. He didn't really. He was basically saying I had a part in this, right? And he's like saying like everybody that you see on news has some kind of agenda behind it.
Of course.
Right? Like it's either the agenda of your advertisers, or it can get to a conspiracy theory where, what's that?
The boss.
Or, well, it depends on what the boss is. Right? It's not just Ted Turner or Rupert Murdoch at the best of times.
No.
Right? But Fox happens to just be one guy. Right? Like, so like again, a sports analogy, the Leafs are owned by a corporation. They're so big, but like other teams are just owned by one guy still. Like one guy bought the Suns. Yeah. Right? And he gets to decide what happens. Not too many decisions get made by other people. So yeah, and then it gets to be what we're broadcast. So we're caught in this middle of they get to use it as it was real, presented as real. And now we're starting so that there's bias behind most stories on TV. Tammy knows there's bias behind stories on TV. We know, but that generation is hard to get off of their news tit. You know, like they don't they believe it and they do it, but yeah, like you said, they know what they know and they're hard to change. But by Carlson coming out, what is it? It made me want to give him a chance after I heard his little statement.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still rather keep my head in the sand. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a hypocrite because I asked her where the real news is, and it's like, I don't know if I really want the real news.
Just entertain me, damn it.
Yeah, see, like I don't know how much of a part of the problem I am, but I like it when a figure like that comes out and says how he said what he said.
Yeah, but my thought is like, how much of this is an angle? Is it because he left? He mutually left Fox News, and he's out of a job. Like how much he's successful, he doesn't need to have a job realistically, right? So how much of this is an angle to keep himself relevant?
I think he and Twitter at this time need each other in the same kind of way.
Oh yeah, this is perfect for Twitter. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, only because at its best, and I don't want to even come across like we sound like I defend Elon Musk, because a lot of people fucking hate this guy, but I don't hate him as much as the hate is out there.
Yeah,
I understand if I didn't agree with but I just. For this conversation, I want to say that I believe in his idea of Twitter being a free speech platform.
Yep.
I want to know if you're playing that Nazi game. You know what I mean? If there's like a group, like you were talking about before, right? I don't want to ban the fucking Nazi game. Mm-hmm. I want to know who's on the group and the hashtag Nazi game, right?
Absolutely.
Because they exist. And then it's easy to mock them instead of letting them live in secret. And so in the idea of just free speech, hire a real popular guy. And so I hope that he loses a lot of his sycophants by what he says, as much as he gains somebody like me.
Absolutely.
That means he's doing the right thing.
I agree.
Because if he just comes out and like his idea was like, he didn't call people out or even himself. And I don't know if I could wish for that, but if he keeps doing it in that vein, say, if I told you this story, in this example on his statement, it's like, man arrested, whatever, but you leave out how many times he was arrested for that crime. Mm-hmm. Or you've just pick and choose, right? Like, so you're deciding what the facts are by not giving out all the facts.
Yep.
And so if he could give a story and say like, okay, if I told this story 6 months ago, I would have read it like this instead of the way I'm presenting it to you now. I don't know how many times he has to do that, but as long as that's a real feeling, as long as Twitter becomes a place where you can trust the fact checkers, right? Like, and he can get called out. I want to hear whatever he says and then ignore all the, you're a fag, you know what I mean? Like, fuck you, like whatever. And get to the things like, whatever, like just to see if I believe it or not, or if I can prove like what I believe, or I don't know.
I agree. I hope turns out like that. I hope he takes like more of a, even if he's still going to be left leaning, because I don't know if you can get rid of that at this point, but more like more centralized a little bit.
Sorry, go ahead.
The other guy got fired from CNN. What's his name?
Oh yeah, there is another guy that got fired. I don't know the name. I wish you said it.
He's a frick. Now I gotta
You Google it. So I've heard like ex reporters and news people that have been on networks and their own like papers that are on like Substack now. Like you have to find them. The people that I've heard on Rogan that I believe what they say and have like a nuanced take, but you have to really go hard to find them. Maybe not that hard, but I don't want to make that next step. Just like your photo editing, like give it to me on Twitter and then I might actually watch it. Mm-hmm. And so but who was the one on CNN?
Don Lemon.
So Don Lemon, like probably a very I've only known him by name. I don't even know if I can know what the fucking guy looks like.
Yeah.
But I don't have much of an opinion on him.
He's basically the right leaning side of.
He's the left leaning Carlson.
Left leaning Carlson.
Yeah. So that is now that's his brand. Like how much can I like? It's almost like So I think of Tucker Carlson as a brand, and if he can make himself like a different brand, a more trusted brand, because this whole Don Lemon, I would almost not trust him because I've heard his name before in bad context, and so like I said, it's the availability. If you can give me something I hear and like I like a lot of times when I put my head in the sand, it's because. And whatever, I'm not going to it's always on Rogan, but somebody comes in with like their worldly stance on what might be going on in Yemen and all these like drone strike stuff that we never hear about. And just even from way back, like when they stopped filming dead soldiers coming back from Iraq and like Afghanistan, and the government says, and people don't notice, right? They just go, where are my dead soldiers? They just stopped doing it. Their reason was so they don't use it as propaganda for their film. Just like, well, actually, the people should know the truth on the real cost of this war.
Yeah.
And just like, you don't get to decide that. But then they just do that anyway on us, right? And it's a government agenda.
Well, I give leeway to the military mostly.
I'm just saying that somebody decides. So that's not an owner or an editor or an advertiser. That's you got into the category. Now, what's the government telling you could go on the news with?
Yeah.
And with this whole Twitter thing, like there's these Twitter files, right? Like there's stuff with Biden. There are these New York Post things. Like I'll butcher every story we talk about, but that for sure I would butcher, right? Like you probably know a bit of all that stuff, right? So there's been some kind of monkey, like, I don't know if you can like decipher what that is. Like there was some kind of monkeying around with what facts are getting distributed, right?
Yeah.
And would you like that to stop? Isn't that what Carlson's kind of saying?
Depends on the source, but yeah.
Isn't he saying like we all everybody just take a pause? Mm-hmm. Me and my old job, we're fucking you around with the numbers.
Yep.
They are fucking you with the numbers. We're promising you an unfucked news, you know what I mean?
Which is a lie, because it's unfucked news is not entertaining news.
But like I said, so when I hear like the Sagar and somebody, like there's a couple of people that are young, up and coming, like the news sources, but I don't know fully their biases and all that. When I hear them on something like a Rogan, I'm like, oh, they're just trying to make truth available.
But are they?
Yeah, are they? But do you only get that after watching it? I look at media as everything is produced. There's nobody who's being as honest as they really are. Even the guests who come on Rogan and like other podcasts, they have their own agenda. None of them are actually being like when there was that one guy who came on who was talking about the cartel and stuff. Like that's his angle, right? That's what he wants to talk about. He's not going to say anything that goes against what his brand is, right? And all these guys who come on is going to do the same thing. So I really don't trust any really sort of big media like that. If you and I had a guest on, I would trust it because I know that we don't really have an agenda in that sort of sense. But when you get into the realm of you're trying to be popular, you're trying to do numbers, you're trying to gain everybody's attention, and all the polarizing characters have never been just in the middle and completely factual accurate. But how long can a society complain about not enough centrality, like I'm making up new words, not enough like centrists, that's a real word, and stuff, these extremisms, without somebody actually just being a fucking milquetoast, you know what I mean? Like a spectacular thing like that.
They're gonna complain about it all the time because what they really want is to be entertained, and that it's already been proving. CNN and Fox have been on forever, right? And their way has been proven to work.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
and that's why they do it. Yeah, you know, I always when I watch when I watch like movies or TV shows and people go like the show ends and they'd be like, oh my God, why wouldn't it just be a happy ending? Why wouldn't it just be like this? Well, if it would just be that way, nobody would watch it.
We lose so much respect for a show that gives that easy way out.
Exactly.
Right? Like at that, no spoiler, that
Exactly.
1923 show when that girl died.
Exactly.
Like, man, because they had me like, man, she might live. And then you just like, you knew she was
Right?
dying 4 episodes ago. If you
And
really,
that show will live in your memory for
yeah, that's why people don't like The Sopranos ending. Just let me see him die. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, don't put it, but that's just like complaining for the sake of complaining. Like yes. Well, so you just think like it's the way we get our fake news now is always, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah,
It's
I think it's a form of entertainment. I think the only way we're going to get real news is to have platforms like Twitter.
Well, this is okay. So he might just because Carlson's the first news source on Twitter, then you know what I would want. Then have somebody if there's a good enough pot, it's just Don Lemon, whatever. Then he gets to have a show.
Yeah.
Like have an honest conversation about
Yeah.
it, right? Like just because now what I would hope is that Carlson has no reason to become more of a figure. Like Twitter is it's a whole new ball game. Right? Like he's obviously money shouldn't be the object.
Yeah.
Right? Like fame shouldn't be the object anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like let my legacy be the first one to start a whole
Exactly.
new like news legacy. Because
Exactly.
CNN is a news legacy when we grew up. Well, I grew up like before even CP24, where it was just city news everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Right? And you could trust it.
Oh, shit.
Right? Like and so that was so local. Right? Like it's like a fucking stand-up joke, I think.
Or like the Rogers
Yeah,
news
Roger
channel.
Cable 10. But that's what I remember when the news only happened from 6 to 6:30, right? It's not from fucking dawn till dusk. The news was only like I didn't think that up, but like, oh yeah, you got to go back to go cooking on your griddle and doing all these other
Yeah.
things. You didn't have to worry about is the plane been found yet? Has the plane been found yet?
Yeah.
Keep it on the channel, and they made us but you know what I mean. That's what we barely told them we want.
Tell them like staying on the channel.
But so something like Twitter, which is like less people have a way worse opinion of Twitter now than they did 10 years ago or
That's
whatever.
because it's
It's cesspool.
I don't think it's
That's what they
that's
say.
what happens when you let everybody say what they want.
But I agree, and it's still like tweaking out. I'm not saying Twitter's the only thing that can happen, but I like it because of that voice.
Well, Twitter, in my opinion, is the least controlled media. I think we've had this discussion.
yeah, no,
before.
I agree. We have.
It's the least controlled social media. If you go on YouTube, it is it's so moderated.
Yes.
You can barely swear if you want to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got all kinds of ways to take your
Exactly.
monetization.
Instagram, you can't, there's no nudity, right? So like it's like that's like shows that how much fingers. Twitter, you can have literally whatever you want. When you get extreme, like if you show you killing somebody, they're gonna take that down. If you show extreme racism, like even like moderate, if there's such a thing, racism, they let go. And like that's why I think Twitter. That's why I like what Elon Musk, because it was going down the opposite direction.
Yeah,
it was
okay.
going to the more, because that's what everybody else was making money and Twitter wasn't. Instagram was making money because they could target the youth. They could do all that. YouTube is YouTube, right? And Twitter was like going to that direction. But I think the way that Elon Musk do it is a great thing. And the fact that he got Tucker Carlson he's always been a fan of Fox anyways, but the fact that he got Tucker Carlson to do this is like, it kind of shows that we are the free speech social media. And I think that would be the best way to brand themselves because that is the only differentiator that they have. Is that a word too?
Differentiation, yeah.
Now every word I say gets me skeptical.
Kevin's gonna blame me for like bringing down your vocabulary, but it's not my fault, babe. Come on, he's got to be affecting me somehow. Yeah, that's what I basically was trying to say. With like, so now there should be another one that follows Carlson. Like not right away.
Yeah.
Just said like, okay,
Don Lemon should go on Twitter.
here's my rebuttal to what Carlson said.
Yeah.
And in my mind, and just to take the argument, that's what I hope Musk is trying to do. He was part of that whole open AI. Like he makes so much money on SpaceX,
Yeah.
right? That he can like allow Tesla to do what it is. Tesla stock, you can believe it or not, or people getting rid of their Teslas or they don't want their Teslas because of this guy. I don't find him as political. He looks more like he's a right-leaning guy because of this free speech thing.
Yeah.
And free speech, like, you know what I mean? Like what like I think should be the real winner.
Yeah.
That's why my argument was like on the Love is Blind. I don't want to hear those words all the time, but don't dance around the words.
Yeah.
Like the word was said. Is that a fact? Do we believe that? Okay,
Yeah.
can we hear the word? We all know what the word is.
Treat us like adults.
That's what I mean. Like just like, and so you're the one who now has to, so I agree. I think that Twitter becoming like less dumpster fiery, like I think YouTube is, but we realize that's me and my algorithm.
Yeah, your
okay,
algorithm.
but you know, I looked at your algorithm, like it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Like that F1 thing looked like it was like, you know,
Oh, everyone's
hyped up.
the worst for that.
So that's what I mean. It's all opinion based. So you're gonna get these guys that are good at selling their opinion, and this is what we've been sold: opinions.
Yeah.
And so but like if this can be the start of opinion being taken less out of it, if this can be the more I can trust what Twitter is trying to say, or not so much because let me say it, but then where can I fact check it? Like I want now Carlson to come on. And I'm talking like I'm going to watch, but I'm really, you know what I mean? But whatever, we can watch for this conversation and see, we should, and see what we think of it. Because they'll just be like, well, what can I do about that war in Yemen? Like, what can I really do? And then eventually maybe you just stop voting for those people in. Like, I don't know, this is more of an American problem than us.
Yeah.
But it's the beginning of free speech, and let me hear how bad you are. Like, his opinion can't get any worse to me.
No, and I don't think it will. I think now that he has the reins off, I think he will give his true opinion instead of being on a right or left leaning media.
I think I want what to happen is what you just said is I think I want everybody to agree that Twitter isn't as manipulated like those other platforms are.
Yeah.
Right? Like people know the difference between what you just said, like going on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
And wow, is that really on? Is Al Qaeda's really on Twitter?
I remember.
Well,
yeah.
But that's what.
Are.
But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, let me know who is hashtagging Al Qaeda.
I remember when you remember when Osama bin Laden was killed.
Yeah,
apparently. I remember I went on Twitter and it was that was trending, not Osama bin Laden, but it was war in, where did he get killed? Was it Pakistan? It was Pakistan.
I think so.
And there's like war, fire, it was just like that kind of stuff, like fireworks, like war, like gunshots in that was all trending. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Obviously nobody knew what was going on at this time, right? So I'm scrolling through Twitter, and then there was this girl on Twitter who lived right by him, and she was taking video of the helicopters going in.
I remember that story.
And it's like how more true and up to the time can you get? Like she posted it like minutes after the helicopters were there and whatnot. Fuck. And then you're seeing all this thing, and then hours later you hear Osama bin Laden is being killed.
So that's what I want Twitter to be.
Yes.
That's the promise of what free media is.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that we've gotten taken for granted that that's what Twitter gave us. And now other things can give us that, or try to give us that too somehow. Yep. And Fox and CNN, for argument, are trying to weasel in on that too. When it was the first Gulf War and they were showing those Scud missiles coming in, like you were a baby. You were like, but like 1991, like that was, and you've heard people talk, like, I can remember when war wasn't on TV. Like I had G.I. Joe. Like I was born with the Vietnam
wasn't
War
on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like this is how far we go. Right. Like wait till quantum computing. But this is like, and so when CNN was once that girl filming the helicopters because they were showing the war go on. Before, like first we saw the missiles on TV, and then George Bush comes on and says, you know, sorry, we had to go to war.
Which one?
Whatever, fucking
which George Bush?
First one, the granddaddy. I don't know. I'm probably even wrong with Reagan, maybe, and maybe it was fucking Clinton the whole time.
It's all of them.
And so yeah, there we go. Right? Yeah, I want somebody to tell me it's all of them. Yeah, not that one is better than the other, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so before I get derailed here,
sorry.
And no, it's not your fault. I do it to myself. So they were like, oh my god, look how great CNN. Without CNN, that's why we need 24-hour news. We get to see this war happen. And we get to go, wow, we get the funny feeling in ourselves when we see the bomb coming from the fucking plane, right? Like with the fucking, the green like screen and the dot and boom, like, wow. And then you get a different feeling when you see a truck on a bridge and they blow up that truck and bridge. And then like, oh my God, I think I just saw somebody die.
Yeah.
And that never happened before, right? Like it was just like, wow. I mean, it's so commonplace. Like you have to avoid watching people die now.
Yeah,
right?
I know,
and so,
right?
And so it's like, wow. So then Twitter comes, so that we get used to that. And then they fucking butcher that. They red team, blue team that. And then this, all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, social media. Like that's how the Arab Spring, all these things happened. All these things come, and now they're locking that down. And then Musk, if again, I'm not calling him Jesus. I don't want to come, but if you could just trust the promise of it, he comes in and go, I'm buying this. I'm going to lose money on this because money doesn't mean anything to me. My like the idea of free speech means something more to me.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just like, okay, and how that I want this to exist. Right. And in a way, he's still, I guess, the one person controlling it, but by having these Twitter files, by having like what was going on before, who's a bot, and you get these butchered ideas like you got to buy a fucking blue check mark, and that like to real people that doesn't really matter, right? Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just more of a verification. He's muddling around trying to verify the truth, and then so by like, and then so he gets to this Carlson thing, and they have a like legal dispute, and you get back to these lawsuits. Part of it might have been because he has these like kind of nasty, weird sexual stuff going on too, right? They all fucking fuck their interns, all that shit, right? And so so that could be part of it too. And so I think of Carlson as a Trump backer, and I don't know if he really is. And I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, but like, it's hard to say, well, why would somebody vote for that? And then you go, well, why would somebody vote for Biden? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're both fucked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like, and then you get angry that this is our choices. I want somebody to argue the fact that this sucks, that these are both our choices. And then like get through that. So if he can start becoming more of a hater of both and less of a defender of one side or the other, because that's what I kind of think of him now. If he's on Fox, he's a Trump defender. And I think he was trying to argue that I had to be. In that statement, like
yeah, that's what he was saying.
And so if he can give me more reasons that he's not that anymore, then I'll start trusting the thing. And then Twitter can fulfill that promise. It might take more time than, okay, the Don Lemon comes or whoever doesn't. I want somebody to argue his points with him instead of just headlining their points.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess if that happens more and more, I'd become less jaded. Because you are buzzed to fucking totally divert. You've been on a kick of like the people that call me Jay and the people that call me Jason.
I think calling you Jason is like so freaking weird.
But it's my name.
No.
But you get called by your name.
I do. And so do you. Your name is Jay.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how it changed. It's not like it's a nickname.
Yeah, it's
like you
name.
have you. I don't know how you have fucking more aliases than me. When I first met you, you're just Brian, this guy at work with a big mouth. You're gonna come by. He's gonna fucking leave me alone. Brian, always just Brian.
Yeah,
that's official. You're the guy at work. Most of the time, you hear my name Jason is only because you hear people from work call me that.
Yeah,
right.
Actually, now I start to realize. Last night, Ali was like, "Oh yeah, this has to go down by Jason." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
You've never heard him call me Jay?
No. But now I'm thinking like. Wait, he's been calling you Jason this whole time? Because when people say that, all I hear is Jay in my head,
yeah,
right?
I get it.
So I'm like, what the fuck? Now it's like, anytime somebody says it, now it just pops up. I'm like, what the hell?
It's your fucking overthinking mind. You can't stop.
It's so freaking
OCD
weird
on that now. I don't like I have a part in any of this. Mm-hmm. I've never told anybody what to call me, right?
What do you prefer?
I prefer Jay.
Oh, okay.
I think before, you can't really. Yeah, see, I shouldn't have told. You can't just decide what people call you.
No,
right? Like it's like I said, it's like not a nickname, but it's a shortening. So your buddies call you Arliss.
Yeah.
Right? Or I don't know how many people call you. I don't know, when did Arliss start? Like that's a nickname in my mind.
I don't even remember. Sometime in high school, like late high school.
So then, for whatever reason, it just became a thing, and so whoever knew you from that point, and then then you would never introduce yourself as Arliss.
No.
But just however it got into to like all full disclosure, I have your Arliss in my contacts.
Am I?
That's the only time I call you Arliss.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It's because it's just funny to me. In the same way, this is buzzing you out for a while. But when I hear like I call you Bri, I call you B just because the J thing. That B sounds weird to me. I'd rather call you Bri if I can going to talk to you. But I talk to you most. I don't hear Brian and think that's Bri. I just think okay, Brian. But I think the whole thing changed for me is I'd never even thought of Jay. Going to school, my best buddy who I've been texting with trying to get to Vegas calls me Jason. Like he's known me since I was like 15.
That's so weird.
But it's kind of my fault. No, not my. It says you don't have a choice in these. So I told you I was a couch surfer, left my house, all that kind of thing. When I first hooked up with Sammy's family, they had already brought up their own community. There was another Jason there.
Oh,
right. It was like one of their kind of brothers. You know what I mean? Lifelong friend, whatever. Like been to school, whatever. So there was a Jason King. Shout out Jay King. And so he never went by Jason. He was Jay. but he had like his name rolls off his tongue like Jay King. It just like rolls.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Yeah,
bro.
and so they
Yeah.
call him Jay King. So I come along and I'm their mom's friend, and all of a sudden I weasel it, like, and I'm now their friend. But so there are certain people like Tammy's little sisters and his mom. Like I'm Jay Maris. Like they don't
Really?
call Jason Jay Maris. So his aunt Cindy, we were just buzzing out it like you're buzzing out. They call me by my whole name because they had a Jay King.
Yeah.
So it's just like Jay. They can't say Jay.
Yeah.
Which Jay? It's just like the whole Big Brother. They have Dan S and Dan C. Dan S has been gone for fucking months, and they still call him Dan S or Dan C. And so there's like again, you're not different things to different people. They just call you that.
Well, you call Sam Sammy. I call Sam. What's his real name?
I wouldn't Samuel. No, I think it's just Sam. Sam. Yeah, it's not.
His
It's Sam. It
parents'
might be
name
Sammy. It's probably Sam. Yeah, I think it's Sam.
We gotta find
There's
that
technically,
out.
but yeah,
I'm gonna ask
I've
him.
never called him Sam.
So I asked Dave at work what his name is, right?
We were there.
Yeah, his name is David. It's just so weird to hear people's like full names when you really, yeah, like
You get into those weird words like Robert becomes Bob.
Bob. Yeah, that's my uncle's name is Bob.
Is it Robert or Bob?
It's none. His name is Lionel.
That's fucking what? That's not okay. So that's a whole. So I guess it just happens.
yeah.
I mean, it's odd. So it happened to you with Arliss. It
Yeah.
never really happened.
Well, early high school, I was always called by my last name. Early high school and like late elementary,
That
everyone
happens.
called me my last name.
Okay, yeah, that
Right?
happens. I think all dudes do that for so long. I don't know
Yeah.
when that changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my buddy is Rick, but it's Richard,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever called him Richard. I think, but that's up to his childhood. Like they called him. But what I'm saying is,
Right.
I was Jason until I was like.
Could you
hanging out
imagine
with-
calling him Richard?
No. But Richard is all. You know what? Dick. Dick
I know
becomes from
that-
Richard. So how
Richard
does
is
that
Dick.
happen?
Yeah, I know.
Jack
it's weird.
comes out of John somehow. Like I don't know how that fucking happens.
Yeah.
Like
Well, one of my cousins, Anthony, he even to this day he'll say it every once in a while. He'll call me Pillman. That was another one of my nicknames. Do you know why? You must know why.
Pillhead.
No, Brian Pillman. He was a wrestler. There
Oh,
was a
I was
wrestler
going to
named
think of that.
Brian
I know.
Pillman.
That's okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
a stretch. But
And,
there's a reason for it.
I have no idea. It was from when we were younger, like really young. He's always called me that. I think he saw Brian Pillman one time on TV or something, and he's just always called me that. So he'll randomly in conversation just say that.
Look how confusing we can make names.
I know.
Like that's why it's hard to get the news
And
out there.
I was about to say, you want to get left and right proper? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, who are you talking about? This guy, that guy, the other. And so like I was thinking about it after you were buzzing out. And so when I started hanging out with Sammy, then almost all my friends are from like when I was 21 on, and I was Jay. I went from so then when I the company before this when I got my coveralls, I had Jay. Before
Really?
then I would write Jason. Or they would give to, and then now, you know what I mean? Like now I live in both worlds.
Yeah.
But if I write my name for a vacation request, I write Jason. Yeah. Like I go to the doctor, he calls me Jason. Like Jay's just more like Bri to me. Like Jay, then so like my, casual, whatever. I'm all casual all the time. So it's weird when I say it's not. But it's just fun to watch you buzz out on that.
Yeah, it's trippy.
Oh man, it's funny to think that we can't even get that right. You're I don't know if you say you're killing it at work. There wasn't as much organization going on. I'm realizing now our work-related podcast is going to become even less work-related because you're going to have consequence
Oh, yeah, I know,
of your
right?
actions because I should give you shit for not trying to motivate or monetize your Monday motivation. I told you what you should have done
Yeah.
when you first said that the boss got a wind of your Monday motivation.
Yeah.
And for the audience that might be new to that, not knows that, I don't even know how you explain it.
Explain what?
How you started your Monday motivation.
Oh, so it all started with Dave Medeiros, one of our bosses. Everybody knows him as grumpy and swearing, right? Like that's the best way to describe him, grumpy and swearing. So I used to always just yell good morning to him, right? And he used to be like, oh, fuck off, oh, fucking good morning. There's no fucking good morning. I say, Monday's the best day of the week. Everybody knows I used to say that a lot. I still kind of do. And so it started going like that. And then he started to get bothered by it. And I started to say, you know what? I'm going to email you. You're grumpy on Mondays. I'm going to email you every Monday. So I used to say, email him Good Morning on Mondays.
Was it him alone?
It was just him alone, just him alone. And I think I told this story on this show before.
You kind of did.
Where he got his phone buzz. He was laying in his bed, his phone buzzed. He rolled over. He thought it was work, and it was my email saying "Good morning, Dave." And he's like, "What the fuck?" And his wife was like, "Who is that?" He's like, "This fucking guy at work emails me every Monday."
That's so fucking funny, Monday, man. I forgot about that story.
Yeah. So that's how it started.
How many weeks was it just one-on-one?
Oh, frick. Probably like, oh man, a while. Probably a couple months.
And you would come, really?
Yeah,
that's
it was
hilarious.
A long time.
That's hilarious. Would he email back fuck off or just tell you fuck off when he saw you?
The first couple times he did, but then he started just tell me in person.
So the story that by the time that he opened the door, come back in, we can say, like, figure it out more. Like when he thought you might have been a little sad on a Monday. Was everybody on the chain by then? Or was that just
Monday motivation had already started by then.
Okay.
So that was, I said I was going to motivate you every Monday, and that's what I started doing.
And then when you first, so you decided to add more people to it at one time.
Because it started getting wind. So I was, he told Marcel about it. And Marcel was talking about it. And of course, you knew this whole story was going on. I know, but I'm telling the people.
Yeah, just refresh.
Marcel was like, oh my God, like that's so hilarious. I said, you want to be on it? He's like, yeah, I'll be on it. And then it just started to snowball. People started to hear about it. Sean came to me and was laughing. He's like, yeah, I heard about your Monday motivation. So that's how it went.
And then it just expanded, like you said. You told me. So I know I'm on it. You know, it's going to be a bug, but I just want to be a part of everything. I also noticed my name isn't in the thread.
Yeah, yours is in the BCC.
Mine's hidden. That's fine. I like that. Keep that going. I want to.
Yeah, you and Brenton are in BCC.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to be a part of anybody else's your stupid thing. But I also told you. Then it got to the boss.
Yeah,
right? Like it's one of those things where by Sean telling you about it, we're making fun of you for being a dork, but he's like, he's not adverse to being on it.
Yeah,
right. Like so, you add him. When did you add the owner?
I was at the desk and Dave were standing behind me, and I turned around. One of them
David.
I know, right? That's a good idea.
Go ahead.
I turned around and I was like,
Sorry. I call Dave Medeiros Dave. I call Dave Dick David.
Really?
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to call Dave Medeiros David and Dave Dick. And then I said, oh, hi, Dave. And then Dave, or you're David. Yep. No, Dave.
The boss.
That's the boss said, oh, I heard about your Monday motivation. I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, it sounds good. I was like, okay. But I didn't ask him if he wanted to be on it. I think I asked you if I think I should put him on it.
Nice. I'm taking that credit.
No, it was just you. Pretty sure.
Just me.
And you said, I'm pretty sure it was you. And you said something like, why wouldn't you? Like, why not? Like, of course.
This is what I wanted to get to. I want to get to this.
So then that's when I started doing that.
Have you added anybody else since him?
Chris.
Yep. I remember you asked about Chris.
So it's been Chris is the last person, and before him was Dave Dick.
And Chris is the refresher, is the only other guy at work. He's a painter.
Who knows about the podcast.
Who knows about the podcast.
Yes.
And so I kind of remember now how it went. And you told me that. And I go, well, why wouldn't you? I said, by anybody asking you, even Sean or me being on it, it's like, I can fucking make fun of you all I want. But by me asking you, I'm kind of like, well, can I see it too? And so by him saying that, he wants it.
Yeah.
And then I told you, and not told you, you should recognize how important this is right now. How much he appreciates any little effort of something that's not Monday sucks.
Yeah.
Like that's just a default attitude.
Yeah.
Not for Monday, but like, oh my God, like really? Oh my God, you sent emails to this grumpy, my secondhand man. You got, you know what I mean? You're in on him with this joke. And I told you how important that was. I even told you then, this is where I'm giving you shit, is that you should, once he got wind of it, maybe it was after you've given it to him a couple times.
Yeah.
And that I know he loves this. This is, you said it, maybe you can get it on LinkedIn. I said you should make it like a video. I said you should market yourself as some kind of more Monday motivation and make this bigger than company wide.
And the thing is, I've already wanted to pull back within the company.
I know, you said that then.
Right? Like I want to pull back. Like I don't even want to go any bigger than for some reason. Like Ryan has asked me to do it company wide, and I just like, I'm kind of like,
Well, I think so.
But now that got fucked.
Yeah, I think this is what you should embrace it more.
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't do any of this thing. Part of me, like, I realize how gay this is to do, and that's why you want to pull back. But this is almost like why you don't weld anymore. Like, be careful what you wish for. right? Like, because you want to be the boss and you want to know what's going on in charge, but now you know what's going on in charge,
Yeah.
so you have nothing to do but not weld.
Exactly.
And so like that's why I've recognized that I would never start the Monday motivation, but I recognize how in the right, I've told you before, right place, right time you are like this. So he catches wind. People want you to do this Monday motivation thing, whatever. We've talked about these meetings, these town hall meetings we've had at work before, and how I'm reluctant to do them, but how we're like, how it's just like Elon Musk, like the positive thoughts behind it is we're all trying to be transparent as we can, and show you the growth and bring you along with the growth and just get you ready for some changes that are happening.
Get invested.
Be invested. Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And what you're doing is the most invested thing that he can imagine. So I realized how much the boss is going to like it. I don't know if I would have realized how much he would have called you out publicly like this.
Yeah. Well, I want to preface this by saying my intention was never to go for it to be to
No,
the
I know
boss.
he wasn't. I agree.
It was never to be like that.
No,
right?
we caught for this whole beginning of the story. This was just an inside joke.
Yeah.
Between you and Medeiros.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Marcel was just like, emails are new to him. So it's like, I'll be one of the first people to email you. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And then it becomes a fucking thing.
Yeah.
I get to know you better than these people do. And we get to joke even just like you now in Medeiros, right? Like you're fucking type with this whole inside joke. And it's just one of our many inside jokes.
Many.
And so we have these
very skepticistic about it.
the hot dog's burning downstairs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so we have these, so it's not like it's not I recognize the novelty in it and how different it is, but I just see this from this inside joke getting bigger. Like this is why of many you shouldn't be a politician, because now you have it's the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's already done. And so now more people get wind. And now why I said you should have jumped on it for monetization, because you can't help it in this world of everybody's just a brand, and you don't want to be false representing, but you actually believe this. And if it's caught on this fast, like the percentage is like over 50, it's approaching 20%.
That is true.
Right? Like if you take this small sampling size and then you take it to like, if you let your boss, just forever, garbage. Now you have you should just do it. If you just allow it to get company wide and then it becomes LinkedIn wide and supplier wide, if that 20% keeps going, then fucking all of a sudden you're this guy. Right. And then you could turn that into so many things. You might not want to be that guy, but you can make that guy who it is.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was telling you, you become then you make a YouTube clip and then you just send it out to the world. Just like this is part of our conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm angry that you didn't do it. You still have time, because what's happened now, unbeknownst to you, the boss called you out in a meeting. We had another one of these town hall meetings.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the growth, and it's a lot of good shit. Part of what we briefed on here was like better organization, better growth, new welders, all these things that
more work,
all part of the change I don't want to do, and some of the change you don't want to do with emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, but we both have, it's funny enough when I listen to it again, like we don't want to embrace what we don't want to embrace, and we embrace what we want to embrace with change.
Absolutely.
And so, but then you have to learn to just embrace the things that I don't want to embrace, and you have to learn to embrace things you don't want to embrace. But anyway, so he had a whole new segment. He does all this town hall thing. And it goes, so I was in a meeting without Brian. I'm on the day shift. Brian's got his crew that he runs at nights. and so we have this meeting. I'm like, God, I hate meetings. They're fucking, I'm supposed to be on break right now. That's the one thing I hate the most is they take over our lunchroom. No respect for our lunchroom.
I know.
Anyway, and so he goes, okay, so guys, this is a new, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes to this point.
Wait, who is this? The boss?
This is David Dick.
Okay, yeah.
And so David Richard. And so, so we have this, whatever, right? He's just going through things and he's getting into his rhythm. You know what I mean? It's not easy to talk to everybody and say that. And he's bringing up lots of numbers and doing that. And I'm like, people are rumbling and have their opinions on what he's saying. And most of me is saying, just shut up and listen to the boss. And you entitled pricks, like, why do you think you need more?
So annoying.
So annoying, but whatever. And so then he gets, but my whole point of this is that he gets to this point where he goes, okay, so I got this new thing. It's a employee spotlight. Right? And he puts this little graphic up there with like the lights behind the improv thing or whatever. He goes, so, and then all of a sudden after employee spotlight, Brian Moore. And I'm like, oh, my interest peaks like that. And I know 100% what he's about to do.
Oh my God.
Because I knew how much he would have liked it just from our brief conversation. And then he highlights what you do. He says like, basically like, I don't know how many out there you know this. I think it started as a joke. He said, but for me personally, I caught wind of this. And he's, whatever, if it started as a joke, it's not a joke to me. He said, this shows me he fucking, like, things. What made me, lack of a better term, proud is that it's like, I've said these fucking things to him personally, which made me happy that I have. He goes, This shows nothing but leadership. This shows somebody that's invested. He's shown somebody that like whatever. He just appreciated it in a whole bunch of different ways. And I was like, oh, wait till Brian hears this. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine what's going through the thoughts of other people
Right?
that would just make fun of this.
Yeah.
Like even if it was somebody, I was like, oh my, if I knew Sammy did this, like Sam, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, I can't wait to hear about the flack from the boys that he gets for doing this. But I was like, fucking guy, he could have made this bigger than it is.
Yep.
And I knew you were going to hear it later. So I was proud of you, I guess, for that way. What did you think of that? I mean, I wasn't thinking of the concept. Yeah, you could probably speak to it more. I wasn't thinking about how much this is out there now.
Yeah. Well, first I want to ask you, what did everybody else, did anybody say anything?
So when he's speaking, no, not really. When he speaks for most of the other things,
Yeah.
everybody's just kind of there listening,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody's speaking up. When he finishes something about some of the other numbers, people will speak up and go like about the sales numbers, and somebody speaks up, well, what are the profits? And you know what I mean? It's just like I get angry, like it's probably none of your business, you know, or whatever, right? It's not. And other people will say some other things. The other guy was like, whatever. So it was almost like that. I was like, huh. But I could feel the energy. I don't know if I'm just transferring my own. My own was like, what the fuck is that about? And I'm like, my guess there was a change in energy. There was a murmur, but I think more of it was there wasn't a mocking tone. I don't know what to say. There was not a like a hip hip hooray moment. Nobody was like, oh yeah. I think more of it was like, oh, I could see Brian doing something like that.
And that's what I was thinking too, because so Marcel kind of ruined it because he sent me a picture of the screen and my name, but you couldn't read anything else. You just saw my name. And I'm like, what the fuck? But he never responded to me after that. And so nobody told me what was going on.
I would have not that. I didn't.
And I was waiting for Jay. I'm like, Jay's got to say something. Nothing. I'm
you
like,
could have
son of a
asked me.
bitch. I didn't want to ask you.
I wanted you to see it for yourself.
And that's what I figured.
Like I said, I never shouted out, but that's my boy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but so he showed your name, and then he had like a graphic of all the different emails.
Yeah.
All the different quotes.
All of them.
He deciphered, like he finds something, he adds his own thing to it, and he wants his all to start that week off.
Yeah.
Like he was like, who better for, like, again, he was so fucking positive. If we were all class clowns in that room, we were like, what a fucking kiss ass.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not.
of
I just told you I'm
course.
proud of you. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, when you came in, like, like, you know what I mean? They're giving you the old fucking jerking off the boss fucking hand gestures and like, oh,
Johnny and Tariq.
teacher's pet type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, not a thing, right? Yeah. Johnny believes what he says. Tariq does everything that he wants. You know, to think that he's going to yell. You know, he was in that meeting 20 minutes after people fucking left, sucking up, like actually sucking their cock, not just pretending to. And so sorry. And so I like I had that energy. I'm biased, so I don't know. But like I think if I was not to know you as much, I'd be like, this fucking guy. But I wouldn't have hated you for it. I would have just been like, oh, these fucking, you know. I don't know. I don't know how you're perceived by other people.
And that's the thing. Like that's what I was worried about when I was sitting there and the whole thing happened. I was like, oh my God.
What, before you, like after Marcel sent it to you? You must have been anxiety.
This is when I was sitting down. Like my anxiety went away like maybe like an hour after.
After the text?
Yeah. And I was just like, whatever. I was just like going through the motions. But then when I was like walked by you and you said like you're famous or some shit like that, I was like, oh yeah, this fucking shit. And so when I went upstairs, because I was thinking like, okay, so we went upstairs, he did this employee spotlight. I'm like, oh fuck, that's where it's gonna be. And so he did the same thing. He said some stuff, and was Dave Medeiros in your guys' meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was walking up the stairs,
he was in yours as well.
Yeah, he was walking up behind me with him and Sean, I think. And he goes, no, was it him and Sean? Yeah, I think it was. And he goes to me, he was saying something to Sean, whatever, but I wasn't listening. And then he says, yeah, it's all because I told you to fuck off. I said, what? He's like, yeah, you'll see what we got for you.
Your like, anxiety must have been boiling up more then.
So I sat in front of Sean and Nicole, right? And so I'm sitting there and they do the whole thing, and then Dave says the whole thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking awkward. Like I'm not embarrassed, but I just don't know what to say. Yeah. Right. And so Dave is there like looking at me like, and then whatever, doing his shit. And when he says his shit, Nicole leans over. She's like, kiss ass. I'm like, oh my God, is this what I mean? But Sean never said anything. Sean's a joker. But the thing is, I think a lot of these people already, especially the floor people, already know how I am.
Yep.
So, like you said, it's not that much of a surprise. It is, but it's like,
Yep.
I mean,
Not if you think about it.
yeah,
It
if
makes
you really
sense.
think about it. So they did that whole thing, and what I haven't told you.
Well, wait a second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, no.
No, I was
I'm
gonna say-
leaving the lunchroom. So
No, but okay, just wait. So before, I was thinking all of us kiss ass in our own ways.
of course,
I come here and I could I talk about like Sunil. I don't hate Sunil, but I have this thing with him. And whenever I get in the middle of a conversation, I'm almost like, yes, sir, no, sir. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Not all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'll fucking be pouty about when they're organizing around me. And I'm not as team oriented, but I'll be on my best behavior. And I'll be like, no, if this looks good. So that's why we're all like, well, we all do that.
yeah,
Like, Nicole kiss ass all the fucking time.
all the time.
So, sorry. So that's
And
why.
so I think I only got like a little flack from the people who think they don't kiss ass.
That's funny.
Johnny and Tariq.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
right?
That's right.
So it's like whatever. So I haven't told you that the boss came up to me afterwards when I was on the floor. I was in IF, and he came up to me and he talked to me.
Do you want to say to the people what he said? I don't know any of this.
I mean,
You want to tell me later?
no, I'll tell you now. He basically said a lot of the same thing that, and I remember when he finished, I was like, fuck, Jay said all this shit. He says to me, he's like, you're a real leader. He's like, I think more people should follow you. And I was like, what the hell? He said like his whole spiel, and then he said that at the end. And that's the part that stuck with me because that's the shit you said to me for weeks. And I was like, holy, I'm like, maybe Jay is right.
It's gonna take a while.
'Cause
I don't blame you.
While I do know I'm like a lead, but I don't think of myself
Of
in
course.
that kind of a way. You
As
know what I
egotistical
mean?
as you are, you
Yeah.
don't do that.
No.
You find your ways. But
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you're always. Yeah, I mean, if anybody knows, you don't want to become that.
Yeah,
You want to
that's
become
weird.
right. You want to be righteous. But you don't want to be an arrogant cocksucker.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd rather be Ty and not Zach and Big Brother.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you don't want to just be all words.
Absolutely.
Or I guess, but you do appreciate your opinion, and that's why you deep down you know everybody kisses ass and all that, and that's
Yeah.
why it's almost you have to embrace it. Like it's you're. And I've told you in different ways. With other than this, you're already showing those qualities by accepting these other positions. I mean, you know, you're
health
giving.
and safety.
Yes, that's not all just for our health. You know what I mean? Like that's not just to hear all the fucking secrets being said. Like this,
Yeah.
like you were almost not this close, but you're a certain distance away from. Should I look for another job?
Yeah.
Like how, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden this opportunity opened, and so to bring it to me is like I'm so happy that to hear other people say the same things that I thought. It's almost like reading a news story, and so it's like and
Fact
being
checkers.
right about it. Yeah, like I knew about that.
Yeah.
And I don't have any like stake in the game. Like it's all positive for me. It's like if you become the next boss, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. It's like I don't have a problem with you. Like you don't have a problem with me. Like it's almost like why you want to know. It's just like I'll let Brian know, and then I'll find out anyway.
Yeah.
Like if you're our next, you know what I mean, like Ali, that's only great for me.
Mhm.
Like I should never discourage that. I should never want anybody else to do that. When Marcel is like the new like Sean, the same thing with Sean. It's just me. Like those positions of friendship I've just kind of naturally found.
Yeah.
Right. Like we can just have same with this or whatever. So it's just like it's all beneficial to me. I'm not pushing it for my benefit.
Wait a minute. You might be the best politician of all. You're friends with Marcel.
No.
You're friends with Sean.
No,
what the hell,
no. Don't
Sam?
turn this on me.
What's going on here,
Don't
Jay?
turn this on me.
Jay, what the hell's going on?
Nobody
You and
knows-
Chris are good friends. Why are you friends with Jay? What the?
That's my age and you know what that's just
Yeah, exactly. That's
no, see,
what,
I'm not a
Jay.
good politician because I can explain it. See, you would be able to just keep blabbing words and then come out to do it. Those people, the same thing those people have, what you have in quality is have patience with me. They don't believe the bark.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like Chris can see through some of the shit. He's seen people like me. He knows, you know what I mean? Like he's known Ron almost his whole life. He went to school and played with Ron's kid.
Really?
So yeah, he's known Ron almost since he was like before he was a teenager.
Holy.
And so he understands somebody like that. You know what I mean? He just doesn't. He knows Jim. Like Jim's just a fucking all business, whatever. And he's got his own quirks and does his own weird kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's Chris being a better I hold that up to those other people's qualities. Like, I'm not a politician like that. Those people gravitated to me. I didn't seek them out.
Mhm.
You cast out a huge net, and then it seems like you'll accept anybody that wants to like catch on that net.
Mhm.
I just luckily found a good group of people that like to talk to me.
That's very
So-
coincidental. I'm very skeptimistic about what you're saying right now, Jay. But
You don't think I have good taste?
I think
Out of the
you
people
do.
that you think I talk to.
I think you do. I mean, look at your wife.
Oh, see, he said it before. Like, nice. There you go. Well, he still hasn't cooked us any of that food he promised.
Let's not talk about that. But one more thing I haven't
No,
told
please.
you is Dave Medeiros also came to me after,
Okay.
and he said some shit. I was talking to Tariq at the time, and he told Tariq, he's like, "You're all right, but you're not like this guy."
So
I was
fun.
like looking at Tariq, I was just dying because I was like, this guy is like the biggest asshole, anyways. And so Dave's like, you know what? He said more people should be like you.
And
And I
if he could have finished that sentence and not like you.
Well, he could have, but he finished his sentence saying something else.
What?
That's the last fucking compliment you're ever gonna get from me.
Good. I hope it is. There's enough of that. You're already getting too
Yeah,
many fucking compliments.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Because
I
he
don't want
recognizes
it.
the amount of kiss ass he does.
Yeah.
He also recognizes, because he probably doesn't hate Tariq like I do. Or hate's not the right way. I don't hate him, but whatever. Have some. My opinion on him is different because he'll let Tariq be him. He needs a guy like Tariq.
Yeah.
And he recognizes that, oh, this guy is like a few steps behind. He wants to be what you are, Brian. And he's going about like the ways we said in the wrong way. Like he's got that sliminess to him.
Yeah.
And 100% he's not as bad as I'm making him out to be. Like there's worseness of him or whatever, right? There's too much of this in him, but well. So that's funny because now he's got that enough relationship with Tariq to say that to him.
Yeah.
Though that's true. That's him like in that little statement go, you are going about the wrong way to get to where he is. Because we said Tariq's 100% jealous of your growth in the company.
Yeah.
He has his way and he's got his own, just like Booby. Booby's actually naturally got more growth in that company.
Yeah.
Right?
Booby's stock is rising. We better invest.
Yeah, we've always invested. I was going to post
that's
wedding
true.
pictures way back.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been our first guest to fucking be on here.
Oh, yeah,
and he
we
still
did
could
say
be.
that.
I've
Fucking
never
Booby.
not been a fan of the Booby. Right? Like I've been a Booby fan since I was a kid. And so, but he's just naturally, you know what I mean? Like he's got his like, you could just like write that guy off. But you're smart enough to just like, well, no, I mean, he's not right offable. But now we're hiring all these other Indians, Indians too, whatever, Brampton Indians, and and so, and he's really in charge. He's like Booby number 2 is so good at training that other guy because Booby 1 trained Booby 2.
Yeah.
And that's all. And now you told him when they're doing these CN things, like he's so dependent on.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, he's just fucking antsy or whatever. Like, I don't know.
He needs to calm down.
He needs to calm down.
He freaking he said something to me last night. We were talking. I asked him like, I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like are you trying to be a lead? He said, you know, I want to be a lead and but I understand. I'm like, freaking this guy grew up. I'm like, he's like, I understand that the first couple years here, my reputation was so bad. And he's like, so now I'm doing my best to change my reputation. I know it's going to take about a year or 2 years for me to fix everything. I'm here every day. And I'm just like, fuck, this guy's talking like a grown up right now.
That is so cool. I want Tucker Carlson to say that exact same thing.
On Twitter.
Yes. And that's that kind of fucking, like that self-realization.
Oh my
that
God.
You know what I mean?
Nothing's
Awareness.
more refreshing than self-realization.
That's refreshing to us.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to him too, but like, whatever. I don't know if we recognize that growth in him or whatever, but I could handle Booby being a lead hand for me.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't care. Like he already recognized we fist bump and you know what I mean? Like I've told you before, like more than like Marcel loves Johnny and me. Like he gets to one part of the shop and he knows he doesn't even have to think about it anymore. Like, oh my God, well, maybe it was 10 hours more. Maybe it's because it shouldn't have been 10 hours less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we get all this grace. We get every single grace.
For sure.
And so, you know what? We'll just be quiet over here and everybody leave us alone. If you want to join the rat race up there, then good luck to you. Now, Booby's positioned himself to just join that rat race, but he's learning how to be good at it too. It's not like he's like you, that statement just says, like, he's growing up to be a good lead. He's a better lead than Tariq because I don't think Tariq would say that.
No, I don't think he's thinking about that at all.
Even if he thought it, I don't think he'd want you to think that he would ever thought himself as weak.
That's true. And like
that's weak.
That's the growth.
Yeah, I like hearing that.
The weakness, so you
should
can
take
know
credit
your
in that too.
Yeah,
You've allowed him.
I mean, I had to beg this guy. I had to tell Ryan to give him more money. Shit.
Yeah, but that's what he needs. Somebody on your side. His
He
side.
is. And we were talking, me, Booby, Ryan, not me, Booby, Ali, and the new guy. We're talking, and Ali's like, this guy right here. This was last night, Thursday. This guy right here is gonna train you. This guy, USB, 2 minutes. He put the whole thing up, finished. Never have to QC. Never have to check it. This guy is gonna train you, and you're gonna be so good. He's phenomenal. He can't do any other bodies, but USB, I depend on him. I rely.
Nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's the way you gotta can't keep the fucking whole. We already know he can get a big head.
And Booby goes, he's like, a lot of people would look at what Ali said and be like, no, fuck this guy. This guy thinks I don't do anything. But that just tells me I have more to improve.
Well, that's a little too much.
Booby.
That's a little too much.
I'm like, Booby, you chill on USB a couple more years. Keep improving.
I think that's when's next Dwali? I gotta join whatever fucking god he's going after because that's sick. I love that.
He's like enlightened.
He is, and that's perfect. I mean, oh man, he's growing up before us. So I don't know, not fear, but one of my thoughts were, I wonder if you're going to make this Monday Motivation thing bigger. I know they weren't going to add. So you asked me if they did come. So I don't blame you if you're not. But what it did realize it to me, dude, and this is more work-related shit than we've talked about before, and we have talked shit. But does it make you want to less talk about work now? Like, because you're so involved. Like, is there a consequence for what you say about people now?
I think so.
Like, because it's fine. Like nobody's. It's not like litigious. Like, I don't know what the consequences are, but like, you can't. You might not be able to put your full opinion about what the new guy is now. Like I was making fun of how crippled he is or all these things or whatever, not fun, but it's like, why would you hire this guy and all that? It's like, you can't officially have your name on that.
Exactly.
And so I don't
we
like
have a small shop.
Yes, we have a small shop. But what if we had a bigger, so if that, and now it made me, part of me was like, in two sides. It's like, because I was just, like I said, proud of you. And if they go, our boss, the boss would love the podcast in a way. I think so. I think he would like. I think I wanted to tell them like, I wanted to shout out from the mountaintops like, I recognize all these things in this guy before any of you did.
Go to episode 63.
Go to episode 1 out of fucking 84 or 3 or 2 or however many got down there, didn't get out. But I was like,
I don't know what you're talking
you
about.
people would like him just as much as I do. You should hear this. If he found out, like, whatever, get a little bit bigger and people, but if he found out we had any kind of following from a work related because of his work, like that's more leadership.
Oh, yeah.
It's not in the same leadership way that you're doing now, but with all these hiring these marketing people and we hired that, it's just it's another sign of your get up and go. You know what I mean? Is your enthusiasms. And I think I don't know how much he would appreciate how we shit on people. But we never shit on, and nothing we've said, I think, would come across that we would be
chastised for.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's ever. I don't even think it's ever. I think we say we borderline some stuff.
But I think what he would appreciate is all we've ever represented is this is just a conversation we have, right? Like, ironically, what I've said, part of it is when why is the boss always hanging? Now you're the boss. Do we have to change our opening credits? Because I said, we got the boss hanging over our shoulder, and now I'm talking to the boss. And so, you know what I mean? We're not the same thing you were when we started.
Yeah.
Okay, but besides that, I think why he would like it is because it's this unfiltered. You're willing to have an unfiltered conversation about what's actually going on.
That's true.
Right? Like it's if you're allowed to have that conversation and not be punished, not the good term, but you know what I mean? Like not have any consequence of it and just be allowed to have it and just say, you know what I mean? Like, what better thing? Like he's begging for people to give honest feedback. We were just naturally giving honest feedback. Now your feedback might be actually being heard. I don't want you to pull back. Like, not that that's our only thing, but I fear that there's going to be some pullback. You've said way more than I have. I don't want to talk about this on the show.
Yeah.
About other things, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we've probably bled it out anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, but we've had conversations. We've had some of our pre-podcasts have been just podcasts about work that never got aired.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you. Like, it's not a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's only, so part of me is like, I want him to know about it. And he would like it, and for blah, blah, the reasons, but go, man, there's probably way more reasons that he shouldn't know about it. But just like your emails, like, you can't really argue that he might eventually, I don't know how.
Yeah, I actually have thought about that.
What do you think about it? Like, what do you want to happen there?
I mean,
not for growth, not like, well, that's one thing. We
No.
can't get bigger without more people knowing about it.
I'm thinking like it's basically would he like it or if he stumbled across it, would he like it, would he hate it? And if him hating it has way more consequences than him liking it.
I have an opinion. What do you think he would do if he just stumbled upon it?
I don't think he would mind it, but I think he would tell other people in upper management. I don't think all of them would like it.
I don't think they matter.
They do to an extent because they can project a certain type of authority on us without dealing with him. You know what I mean? I think the ones
Okay,
who,
I get what you're saying.
So like, okay, for example, Sunil. I don't think Sunil would like our show. I think he would hate everything we talk about.
I disagree.
You think he would like it?
I disagree. For the same, so he likes growth.
Yeah.
So again, like
Yeah.
even if I say, you know what, I think he pockets money on fucking side deals. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had a couple beers and I have a shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't ask for an honest conversation and not expect to hear things you don't like.
Of course, but not everybody's receptive to it. Not
Okay, but
everybody can handle their emotions of somebody saying something that they just disparaging.
I understand, but
I know I could handle it.
okay, but then you have to allow that. So this is what I'm saying. So we've already allowed our opinions to be put out there. All we can ask for when we've talked shit on Booby is like talk when we've changed our opinion. Every time we said it, even with Tariq, like if he ever gets to come on here, he gets to defend it. Like
Yep.
everything we said comes with a caveat of this is just us and my shaded memory of whatever it is. And who am I to fucking have this opinion other than we weren't the first to do podcast. Like, you know what I mean? Like we just enjoyed the selfishness of having this conversation. And so I think he would appreciate the investment. Like we're not here to tear it down. Like the
Yeah.
positive is how much, like, I don't know how much of this podcast has made you better at work because we've talked about
I think
things.
a lot of it.
And so if you're a good boss, you would recognize the good, that percentage of goodness in it. You would just say, you know what? Like, they shouldn't have said that about Sunil taking fucking bribes for the money. Like, okay, like, you know, I'm not like.
I mean, it's true, but like they don't know that.
You can't put it out there.
Yeah,
but we're also we'll fall back on Carlson's. Also, we're just a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
We're just you know what I mean. Like none of these. We don't have proof. We don't have receipts of that. We just like, you know what I mean. Like we just are saying what we're saying. But you can't ask for an honest opinion. Like this is the best suggestion box that he could ever ask for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just our two suggestions.
Oh man.
That's the next podcast, the suggestion
Yes,
box.
the suggestion. That's a great name.
See, I think all the words are right.
Oh my god.
So he would like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't think, and he's a real guy. Like I know he's a boss, and he's like whatever out of it. But just like Medeiros is a guy, you know what I mean? Like they're similar more than you would think. Like they've been working together fucking forever. You know what I mean? Like he has no. I think he would appreciate the get up and go-ness of it. I think that's better. What we do is more constructive than just like what Tariq does. Yeah, well, it's more. Yeah, I think. Don't you think so? I think
do.
he would. I think if he stumbled upon it, he would like it. I think if you want to get ahead of it, not the timetable of it or whatever, right? I think would you rather tell him or have him stumble upon it?
Stumble.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm right. I don't
stumble.
Yeah.
I think
Why?
telling him about it just looks a certain way. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And then when you tell somebody about it, you're expecting to hear the reaction. Now he's expecting to react to us and tell us what he thinks. And now he may have some pressure of liking it or not, or he may not want to tell us if he likes it or not, depending on how he is, right? You know what I mean? And so
ideally,
like,
he would stumble upon it and tell you.
Stumble upon it and be like, so, make a side comment like, well, you know, I like what you're doing. I feel very skeptimistic about it.
Oh my god!
I'd be like, what the fuck?
Shit your fucking. I shit my fucking pants.
I'd be like, one moment, Jay.
Oh, that would be the thing. If somebody walks in and goes, me.
Oh my god, could you imagine?
I think I can now, honestly. So, do you want him to know or not? Would you want him like you know what I mean? Like if you could arrange for him to stumble upon it, would you rather he didn't, or would you rather he did? Now, I know it's not an easy question, but now that he has such a positive reaction, nobody's ever been
We're
called out.
talking about the boss.
The boss. Let's just talk about the boss.
Yeah.
Right? after the boss, everybody else will know. If somebody else, if Nicole or Dave knows, then the boss will eventually know. Like, you couldn't stop the Monday motivation from going out, and you didn't have as much consequence to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm just telling you how much there is in this to that. I'm not wishing either way right now. I don't know if you asked me the same question or not. Like, but part of me is just curious. Like, and part of me knows that I was so right. Like, not that you knew it too. Just you didn't. I got to say it. You don't. Is that that the boss loved the motivation? You know what I mean? Like the leadership qualities that you're showing, right? Like it's not as common as you know. And even if it's common, most people go about it the wrong way, and like or they're so reluctant. Like Marcel's kicking and screaming. You know what I mean? Like to be that.
Drag them in the door.
And then so here comes a guy. He's not known for a long time, and all of a sudden you have more say than Marcel. I'm not trying to put Marcel down at all. And if Marcel heard this, like I would almost want to have the conversation about like Marcel, were you like, even if it's at the worst, Marcel hears it, goes, were you dissing me? You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, no. And I explained myself, like, no, you're there. This is what it makes you explain yourself. You'd have to explain everything you say. Yeah. And then I'd be the worst. Sure. You know, I mean, I have more work on my plate than anybody. So, yeah, what would you think if he just like, would you want him to ever know or not? Like if he could, like what's, yeah, that's always, whatever my question was.
I think because of the type of person I am, I'm already very reluctant to share a lot of like my personal stuff.
You have two podcasts.
Exactly. And you're literally the only one at the workplace who knows.
I understand, yes.
You and Alvin and Chris.
And those Chris only knows because I made you tell him or whatever.
Exactly. So I'm just like very reluctant in those type of ways.
And Alvin doesn't know about this one.
No.
Yeah, but could you ever see him like telling it?
Yeah. Alvin,
you know it wouldn't get past
Alvin knows that like you come to the house, he knows that you know the kids, like he knows all that
and
shit.
Tariq knows it by accident.
Because
he saw my yellow car out here like a year ago.
Stalking.
And he wouldn't exactly. And he's never asked any other questions about that.
No.
It doesn't like but there's part of him is like buzzed out on that.
No.
Right? Like so I get that, and that's fine. You can trust Alvin, for this personal little you're leaking out,
for sure.
And I've made you tell me all your personal shit too. But you had no choice for the Monday motivation go out. You almost have to think of it in a way like you almost like it's gonna come out.
If it comes out, it comes out, but I don't know. It's I don't know.
Because I can make it be an accident.
Do I want? Okay, I'll give you an example. Did I want the Monday motivation to come out? No way.
So now that it is,
I feel weird about it. I want to pull back even more.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think I don't know. It's because I'm weird like that. Like I know that I get weird when things get bigger than I really even want, or I like niche, like you know what I mean. I like niche.
That's this is as grand as this depriving the world of who you are.
I mean that's
you can't offer this out and just say, you know what, I don't want more than 150 people listening. You know what I mean? Like you jump on it. And all
that's
of a sudden,
the thing.
But you have to accept that.
But all those 150 people need to be people who don't know me. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree because I've never told anybody. I've like few told. Like
it's just a weird feeling. You know what I mean?
I understand. Well, I know, but you also know that you like doing this. There's part of you that does, and like I'm saying, not in a growth way, but just like hiding the truth, like having that conversation with Marcel, like it's innocent enough. Like I just said, it's just like that's not going to be bad for me or Marcel.
Yeah,
I can only grow from that, just like I've grown from this fucking stupid thing we do.
Yeah,
but you can't ever expect them not to find. Like, wouldn't you rather the control of it? Like, wouldn't you rather, like, okay, I get it, but okay, so let me give you a scenario. Okay, so you're off the hook for golf in the next coming weeks. Speaking of the pod, unless we figure out a different date, which, you know, if we loved you enough, we would find it, but I got to get my barbecue time in. I'm going golf. I found a fourth to go with me and Sean and Sammy. He knows about the podcast. He's media savvy. He works in radio.
Yeah.
He's fucking got a bigger mouth than me, if you can believe it.
He's listened to it.
He listens all the time, and he's got opinions on it, whatever, right? He holds most of them back. Thanks, Ricky. And and so that's another thing. It's either Rick or Ricky. You know, whatever.
Rick or Ricky, but not Richard?
Never Richard. Or Dick. Most of the time it's Dick, but that's not to his face. I told you, we're golfing, and he likes the pod. Mm-hmm. He's done some like media stuff for us, like not like directly, but you know what I mean? Like he's told people for sure. And he can only do nothing but help. And he's the type of guy who will only offer some things, but if you ask, he's got a lot of things to say on it or whatever. And so he likes it. So just to fuck with us, then he's fucked with you a little bit on Twitter, just tiny bit. But you know what I mean? He knows you on Twitter. And I told you, I said he could tell Sean and Sammy at golf.
Oh my God.
Like, just because, like, the worst thing I could tell him is, like, hey, don't tell them about the podcast. That guarantees that for 4 hours, we're getting high and drunk in a fucking golf cart.
My God, that sounds like a disaster.
You to do. And he's got this thing in his back pocket where he could just be, and he wants, you know what I mean? Like, for us, he wants it to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, so he gets too drunk and he just says, oh man, did you and Brian do the podcast last week? Or, well, when you and Brian on the podcast said, and all of a sudden Sammy and Sean look at, what? And like, I feel like I'm lying to my friends like that by not telling them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to know, right? But like, I've known them for so long, and I've just, and it's like, oh, Sammy calls me to do cards on a Friday. Oh, I can't because you know what I mean? Like, I make a lie.
Yeah.
And now I'm lying to one of my brothers, like my best friends ever. And so it's like, that makes me feel a certain way. Why? Like, because I don't want to share who I am, all that stuff. I'd rather share with 150 strangers than my best friends.
That's fair.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
It's little. But then it happens. So it's no qualification to you. And then all of a sudden that next, like in 3 weeks, Monday comes in and Sammy and Sean are like, fucking me or whatever. And it's like skepticistic and all that. And just like, God. And then it's only a matter of time. And then so they, I guess, fucking my ego tells me that they won't hate it. And my ego tells me that they probably agree with, like, just like Chris. Let's just take Chris's reaction as the same as Sammy and Sean. And then they tell Nicole. And then they tell, so what, everybody knows what then everybody knows what Dave.
And then every conversation I have outside of work, I have to have at work too.
But yeah, that's unfortunate.
I only like having that with a select few people.
Yeah, but you've unfortunately you're standing on a soap. Like, so I get it.
My show is to have conversations with you and maybe one or two other people about the show. My show, I don't want it to be about, I have the conversations with you and everybody else. This works because we have the conversations together.
True. I don't know how much it would change it, or I get that suckiness of it.
Well, that was going to be my biggest thing while you were talking. I was going to say, like, how much of it would change because we know who listens. I thought it when Chris found out, I thought it would change how we talk and what we talk about. It hasn't really changed. It's been pretty much the same shit. But like, how much does it change when your boss listens? Or how much does it change when somebody who isn't really up on the things we talk about listens? You know what I mean? Somebody like Frank who is set in his ways and has his own mind made up on his things. How does that change because we have to interact with them directly? They could just, oh, frick, let me go talk to, and like, it's fine when it's people who you can have that conversation with.
I get
right?
it.
But it's not fine when you're doing it with Frank. You know what I mean? Or when you're doing it with, like,
I think the weight,
anyone.
I think the weight of the yeah. So I'm not 100% sure what my answer is. Like, I'm trying to think. The weight of everybody knowing about Monday Motivation now, like, has less consequence because this is one thing. And so do you care about the people that think you're just kissing ass about it?
No, I don't give a fuck.
Do you like the people do you like that it's been positively, like, mostly received well? There's no real, so whoever likes it, there's no reason to not like it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how you handle the negative criticism of everybody knowing you like doing this. You don't care.
No, I don't care. Mostly because that's
opinion
been
of
my
you,
brand at work anyway.
That's your opinion. Okay, so now, yes, I get that you don't want to know everything about your work-related brand.
Yes.
Right? Like, because it's this and that. But our agenda isn't to shit on the company.
No,
Our agenda is us having a couple of beers after work. And so you can listen to it and like it. You can listen to it and, like I said, people who fucking don't live in Toronto or fucking have to hear us talk about so many stupid things.
True.
But then we talk about Lego and then all of a sudden, like, more people hate it. But no, some people go fucking, oh my God, Lego, let me try.
Yeah.
Right. And then so we've, like, introduced that to people. Other thing, we motivate like Brenton to exercise. We got you there one time.
Yeah.
You know, like, everybody was like, oh, that was fun. That was like, Tammy's so grateful for at one point. She hates that I fucking, like, leave her all that time and I'll do these things, but we got her to exercise again. In consequence, like, we didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Just because that part of it, she has to ignore so much. right? Like we all know. I know she listens.
Yeah.
I've not come on. I've tried to not put. It happens all the time. Some of our personal shit.
Yeah.
I have to be able to put some of it on there.
Of course.
Nobody wants to hear like a non-genuine. They want all the genuine conversations they can have.
Yeah.
And so, but who I am, I don't like. I'm not going to put all of our personal shit on there. Like I hear people with their podcasts and they go, "Oh yeah, me and the wife we just banged." You know what I mean? Like I'm all this stuff. And like I'm not the type of person that talks about that anyway. For me to talk about that on air, so I'm not hiding all of our personal details. But that's none of our like. I don't want. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how much of that is me not sharing everything, or because she listens and she's not going to have a certain opinion on it. Like I'll deal with that. I would like to think everything I talk about, she's had to hear anyway.
And that's the thing. Would you be different if she wasn't listening? If you knew for sure she was never going to listen.
For comedy's sake, I probably would. For comedy's sake, I might, you know what I mean? Like, just like, oh, my mother-in-law jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, my fucking wife doesn't understand
and
this or that.
That's the part that, I mean.
But it would it be, I don't
know how drastic it would be.
But like I'm saying, like you already had another show. Like there's a definite balance. And like I said, when it comes to this work thing, like you almost have to assume that they're going to find out. And if with the same with the Monday Motivation, it's not quite like because you're saying more things here, and but it's already changed by you becoming a boss and already knowing the consequences of I can't just like personally attack people. Like I make fun of the handicap guy. Why would you hire him? Your whole stance on this, not because people are listening, or I don't know how much is that is because you're the boss. You have to just, you know what I mean? Like you can't be on record saying we can't hire certain people. Like that sounds like you're in the 50s. You know what I mean? Like no Irish.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? Like whatever, right? Like it's like you can't do that because you're like I'm such a politician now. Like you know what I mean? Like we have to give everybody a chance. I can't personally attack somebody like that. Some of the things we say are personal attacks.
Yeah.
I hide behind them like Tucker Carlson, like it's just my opinion. But if you're going to listen to like one of a billion podcasts out there, you have to accept like all the faults. The people who still listen to us like realize, oh, these guys going off about this again or that. And so with the work thing, I would rather hear what we think about it. Most of the time we say positive.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't have an answer for defending the Franks, but you don't give a fuck what Frank thinks about Monday Motivation.
No.
You cannot, if you just imagine anything that anybody like Frank or someone comes to you with, you can knock them down if you want to. You can make them feel small. You can fuck it, or you just like laugh them off. Mm-hmm. It's how you feel about that. And most of the time, you don't make people feel small. Mm-hmm. You don't take advantage of how smart you are or how much you can get over anybody. You just like, okay, that's Frank. You know, whatever it is. I'm the one who comes in like this fucking guy, right? Like I'm the one who has less patience for these people, but my consequences are nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm the one who'd be more like fucking like, wow, you can't say that about the people that you work with. And I'll be like, well, you shouldn't listen to my opinions. And then they'll be like, what will happen is it's not like a hate listen. It's like, oh, I get so much more out of it. This is an honest thought of one of my new thought leaders and one of my oldest veterans. And this is what a honest conversation is actually going on, not a bullshit town meeting where Jay's just fucking watching Tariq on his phone or fucking doodling.
Was he on his phone again?
No, I wasn't close to him. I didn't realize. But there was another person that didn't know me more. But you know what I mean? Like that's what you'll get. And I think that will be more appreciated, just like the Monday Motivation thing. It'll be just like nobody would have hired a marketer or, you know what I mean? Like it's not a promotion thing. It can be used as a promotional thing.
Yeah.
What if he goes, you know what? Like you guys need a new podcast studio. I like it so much. Just say it's sponsored by Wilcox Bodies. And then they put on their fucking Twitter feed, hey, don't fucking miss work related. And then you just put the E beside it. You know what I mean? Like there's bad words.
Yeah.
The opinions of the broadcasters are not necessarily the same opinions of the management of this work.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have your first sponsor.
Yeah.
Right. And so besides that though, your Monday Motivation, you can make that so many different things. I'm not saying you have to embrace it, but
no, I know what you're saying.
But it's funny because you had no choice for that to happen.
Yeah.
And so you just might like, if you could have got ahead of it, would you, or would you have just let this Monday Motivation happen like it did?
I would have just let it go.
Okay. So then we should do the same thing about the pot. But when I said about an accident, it's because if you said to me you wanted to get ahead of it, I could say to Rick, like say something like that. Right? Like just fucking accidentally say fucking something and that makes Brian and Sam, or that Sammy and Sean go, what? And then they find out.
Oh my God.
Right. But I'm telling you, he could just, if he knew how much God, I shouldn't have said it so much. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he's far behind. Because if he hears this, he'll do it.
Oh,
like, no, you like fucking with your friends.
No, don't do
You
it.
better tell
Don't
him.
do it, please.
So you were off the hook for golf. I almost tried to drag you for that.
Yeah.
I told you you're getting into this big executive position.
Eventually, I'm gonna be.
You have to.
Golfing with you.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
But we'll get you there. Fuck. That was a lot of work related shit. So
Yeah, it
I'm
was.
just curious from what you thought. Like, I think anyway, that was a positive for you. You're moving on up. We already said that is Dave still leaving nights?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When does that happen?
He doesn't know yet, but it's in the works.
When's Alvin going on nights?
The week we're back from the long weekend.
Oh, okay. Because when I didn't see him for the rest of this week, I wonder if he's
He
like
took his
gearing up.
birthday off.
Oh, what a fucking
Yeah,
pansy.
I know.
A little
Right?
fucking
He
princess.
took a little Thursday. He should have been there today. He took Wednesday, Thursday.
I was not there today.
And the funny thing is, he still hasn't told Tariq he's leaving.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I
He's gonna
know.
be so sad.
I know.
He's gonna be so. That's hilarious. That's one of Tariq's closest like talkers there, and he's hiding something from him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
a good sign at all.
Yeah. He hasn't told him.
Oh man, what were one of those things? So I'm talking to an AI producer over here. Whatever, get off the work with thing. Which one of those were the you sent me this Tucker Carlson article?
Yeah.
Was one of the other ones an article? I fucking forgot the articles that you sent me. Because the only other thing I thought about, which is a big topic, was that quantum computing thing.
Yeah.
It's like something, you know what I mean? Like getting out of your way. We'll close on this.
Okay.
Your last pod, the Serious Business Pod has been killing it. You've been putting a little bit of extra, you put your leadership qualities. I can tell that some of your leadership qualities,
A little bit of oomph.
yes, have been noticed by me.
Mhm.
Like now when I think about it like that, like you've focused your buddies on a little bit of direction. Not that they're just not as good at it as two, like, well, maybe one's better than the other, but focusing all that nuclear energy that in the right place, like never mind. Like that has these aspects of why I can understand a lot more people want to listen to it. But it also comes with that same annoying factor.
Yeah.
Right. And you can with your goal. But so just to steal some of your ideas, because you guys do it better than that, is you had a conversation about tipping at rest or just tipping in general.
Yes.
And so just like, you got to be careful what you wish for. When I hear your podcast, I want to come running over to you and say, blah, 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 blah. I have my opinions on that. I don't want to counter. I'm not counting the numbers. I reluctantly tip.
Yeah.
I like being known as a good tipper, not for ego based, but just to get better service the next time or at that time.
Yeah.
I think in my heart, I think my job is way harder than anybody usually it's like a mover or something, but my job is way harder than my waitress or my pizza delivery guy, and I don't get tipped. And so I don't want to tip you. And like, I think that's my basic general, like, if I didn't know the world, it's like, why you get tipped and I don't?
Yeah.
But I do understand it. And if you're going to tip, I over tip.
You always over tip.
I usually always over tip. So you had a conversation with tipping. I don't know if you can like just, like,
Yeah, we
squeeze it in.
basically said that I say I tip at 15% base, right? And then one of them said that they tip when they tip 15% when they're broke, and the other one, who knows what that guy does.
And I think you should always just base it on service error
Yes.
every way.
Yeah.
I think most of the time service is mediocre.
Yes.
I think so the places that I go to the most, so my pizza guy, I over tip. I want the pizza place to see my number and go, this guy gives me $8 for a $30 pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more money than I think they deserve. I don't know what to say that, but I didn't make the rules.
Do you Uber Eats?
Yeah, I usually tip 23 or 22%. I like 22 is one of my favorite numbers.
Yeah.
So I just tip 22. If I really like the waitress, or if I really Memphis was one of the first takeaway places that I tipped.
Okay.
Because I never tipped. It's like, I'm picking up the food.
Yeah.
You have to make it like, what the fuck? But you know what? Then I started thinking, fucking, I want them to see that number. Whoa, 416 is calling. Like Jay's calling. And I know I'm going to get like, let's make this one good. Throw an extra wing or whatever, right? It's this guy. I want to be known. I don't. The opposite is you're
That's
not.
fair.
Or one of the things is like you're never known. Or I don't want to be known as fuck this guy. He doesn't even tip.
Yeah.
Because even if in my worst, and I'm not like I said, I'm an over tipper, but I'm not a little bit reluctant, I guess. But I find the benefit of that is like I get out of my own stupid ideas. It's like, no, you should tip. And being known as a good tipper is way better than being a non-tipper.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like that. It's like, oh, commit. You know what I mean? Like, it's worked with a pizza. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy, you don't have to say, oh, I like my pizza this way. But if you like the pizza and you tip, like, oh, like this, I'm going there first.
Yeah.
This guy's giving me $8. You know what I mean? That's my guy.
Yeah.
And I only see him for that. At a busy bar, like, or okay, I'll go to, let's say at well, there's two different things. Like, I don't know. Do you over tip your Uber? Like, what do you tip? I don't want you to say your numbers, but
I don't know what it is that I tip because I don't usually.
You have a 15 base.
I don't order my own Uber.
Oh, yeah, you don't
So
do anything
there's that.
crazy. But with your 15% base, so say you just went to Memphis the first time or got that and you were in charge of the app, you would just say, okay, 15%. And then say, you know what? I really like this. Oh, then, you know, maybe would it be 15% next time, or you remembered you liked it? I'm going to give him 18, or would you just go, you know what, base 15? How long would it take for you to jump from 15?
I think when it comes to like delivery and stuff, I almost always do 15 because I feel like I didn't really think about the notoriety part of it, even though it has worked, but just not in terms of delivery. Right?
Yeah.
That's always like, I don't know why it feels weird. The same way it feels weird when you're picking up something about tipping. Like every time I see it on the Interact machine and you're asking me for a tip and I'm picking, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here?
That's my base.
Am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right? But I remember long time ago, I went to the Keg. I was on a date and I did like a $50 tip. I was like on like $100 and something dinner or whatever it was. And I went back to the same place months later and the guy remembered me. Months later. I don't know how many people he saw in between that. And he put us in the same seat, in the same booth, and he remembered. And I was like, holy.
Did you know that it was because of the tip?
No, I didn't. It didn't even dawn on me. I didn't even dawn on me. I just thought it was because I was strapping and handsome or something. I don't know.
Could be that too, yeah. Well, whatever.
I don't know.
He has a secret camera there that he's got videotape. I got to put my handsome friend there at the same spot. So that's like, so I agree. Like, yeah, I exact same thoughts. And I've learned to realize because, the delivery thing is one thing. And the picking up, like I said, like I started to change my idea. I went from never tipping Memphis to just like, wait a second, what happens if I just give them money? It might have been a podcast that I heard where somebody was talking about, you know what, pre-tipping at a bar. Your waitress comes, you go, you know what, here's $20 and you start a tab for me. I just want to start, you don't have to treat me fair, but I'm going to be, there's more to come, but just, I know you're busy, but just don't forget about us.
Ooh.
And then you could just be a deadbeat and that's all you give them. But if you do that once and you come in again, they go, oh my God. Like, and you go, this guy is like, because you, like I said, when you do the 15% in my mind, and it's not fair because you're paying 15% of something you don't have to, nobody gives us that an extra 15%.
Yeah.
It's the lowest on the fucking app.
Yeah.
By you going to 18, the guy looks like, well, at least they went to the next one.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so with the Uber Eats, you don't know if it's Muhammad or fucking another Muhammad.
Jerk.
Yeah. And so you don't, good. But I want to be known by that. Like, not be subservient, but just like, this guy likes us. The only way you really show is by tipping. You might, I said, so go. So I think you should tip more. And at a waitress, when you guys have the conversation where you were, it's not so much for when I come back, right? Well, I guess maybe it is. It's just like, if that ever happens again, like that scenario you just said, that's why I overtip.
Yeah. Because like, I think that situation got changed because, Kevin, who we were with, had mentioned to the guy, he's like, sorry, he had came back over and then he's like, sorry, I had to send her over because I was on break, I was eating. And then Kevin said, well, you can send her back over anytime. And I think that's why he really switched our servers at the time. I still didn't like it. I don't like that shit.
Yeah.
It's about, I don't even care about the frequency. I care more so about timing. You know what I mean? All these things are like a lot of effort that you would have to put in. But anyways, that's not what I was going to say. I watched a video on tipping, YouTube. This was before the Serious Business episode. I never brought up any of these points on that show, right? And it was talking about tipping inflation and how much it has gone up. And there's people are saying that it's becoming a problem now because when before 15%, it was a good tip. You know what I mean? You could tip 5%. You could do whatever, you just put whatever down, but you do automatic 15%. They're like, oh yeah, this person is, and now 15% is on the lowest. Like you said, on the machine, it's on the lowest.
Yeah.
And so is it getting out of hand? This whole video that's what this video was talking about. If it's getting out of hand and whatnot. And I kind of feel like to a point it is, depending on the service.
I agree with 100%. Like I have to fight my urge
Yeah.
to not do it. And how dare you think 15% isn't enough?
Yeah.
But
I got to pay 15% tax. Well, give or take, it's 13 plus 15% tip.
so how much of it is, like I said, biting my own face up? If I'm never going back there again, then it's one thing, right? But like I agree. Like it depends on what you really want. And so that tipping inflation is a great statement. And I hate the idea of like paying the waitress minimum. Like it's up to me.
Yep.
Like I want to fight it with all my urge, but how much am I just like cutting my nose off to spite my face? Like if I just give that extra little bit, like if I'm not one of the ones who's fighting this and just join it, and I'm getting better service.
Yeah.
What's greater than great service?
I agree. I
And
completely
unfortunately, that's
agree.
the inflation of just going out to eat or anything.
Absolutely. I mentioned that this podcast I listened to, this financial guy, he said, if you can't afford to tip when you go out to dinner, you can't afford to go out to dinner.
It's both right and fucked up.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've gotten over myself and just joined the tipping revolution.
Yeah. Yeah. But what did interest me is that pre-tipping at the bar. I'm going to do that.
It works.
So what do you do?
So if you're at a busy bar and you got a tab, or you're going to just about to start the tab, and it works even best if it's the bartender at on the bar, and you have to keep going for your drinks.
Yeah.
And they're writing down. So listen, I know you're busy. No special. I just want you to know I appreciate how hard it is to do. Can I start a tab? Can I get 4 Red Bulls and tonics? Here's $20. You know what I mean? Like, hope you just recognize me when I come back. And they'll just be like you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
The worst is you just go, fuck you. You think you can buy my
Then you take
time,
your $20
whatever.
back.
I don't know what they'll think, right? But most
Yeah.
of the time, you're only out $20 and you're spending 150, whatever that night anyway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Probably the order you just got. It depends on what you're doing. And so that's how that kind of works. Like you can I've never said I've done it. Like I've done it once at a bar like that. Like, and not trying to be a big shot. You almost feel like, oh, this is like, who am I to do it? But you just want their attention. The only really way it works is like when you're coming back, or the actual good feeling you went. We took my stepdad to Red Lobster for his birthday. I remember telling you he only had fish and chips. It was a buzz, and I paid, and I gave it was like I probably gave at least 22 or maybe 25. We were like the second person. She was real busy waitress, and there was a birthday thing going. The food was good.
That, by the way, that's another time I tip. If it's extremely busy, I tip a little
So that's
more.
why I'm saying that busy
Yes.
bar you can pre-tip.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're at a table,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're. So there's certain ways you can just try to slide it in there like that.
Yeah.
So whatever, not expecting a reaction, just to say, thanks for a good meal. She didn't cook it. She just barely. Part of me could say you barely did anything, but part of me says like, you had a party to deal with there. And she came back to me after like I already paid the bill. We're better. She goes, hey, thank you very much. Right? Like, and I was just like, well, you're fucking very welcome.
Yeah.
And so I walked out of there just like I made her
Somebody's day. Yeah.
And so what's wrong with that? Right?
Nothing.
Like, and so that's
Nothing.
why you are caught up in this, like, well, she didn't really deserve it. It's just her job. But what the fuck? You don't go out if you're not willing to do that.
Absolutely.
And when I'm with her dad, if you're with somebody who's a shitty tipper, like, I hate it.
Mhm.
Have you ever been with somebody for dinner and you felt like you should put some more money on the table?
Yeah.
And so that's way worse than overpaying, I think.
Yeah.
You get good deals on everything, your monitors, your shit like that. Sometimes it's the only way you show your gratitude.
Yeah.
And a bad tip is almost like I guess you internalize it, because her dad is a terrible tipper.
Oh no.
And I hate it. And but you can't like put more money on the table. Like, I guess you can wait till they go. I've never really done it,
Mhm.
but I hate the feeling of being at a table where but it's like, well, at least they know I'm
It's
not paying.
like, oh God.
I could say we're one of the best things to like pre-tip when we went to Mexico at a resort and everything's included. And we had our own VIP bar thing or whatever. We go in there and it's like, so everything, I don't know what you would do in this scenario, but I'll tell you what I did. And so you go, it's like, right away, I'm giving you 2 Coronas because I carry 2 at a time. I'm going back to my lawn chair and here's $10, right? I know everything's included, but okay. And then maybe the next time I don't get to give him $10, you know what I mean? But like after it's like, I can drink a lot of beers. Like after, especially the Coronas in the fucking sun. And then I get like another one, it's fucking, here's another $10. Do you think that's day one? Day 2, when I walk up to the bar, what do you think's waiting for me as soon as the guy?
Coronas.
Jay! You know what? I went and got weed in that town, like when we went on an excursion or whatever. I realized afterwards when I should have just fucking, here's another $10. Hey, can you get me a fucking bag of weed? He would have fucking 100% done
for
it.
sure he would have done it.
Not because he would have done that for anybody, but this guy's great.
Yeah.
He's not fucking, you know what I mean? Like the amount of times we went to one of the, like the not like the restaurant, whatever, one of the restaurants in the resorts, and we saw people leave and not tip anything because it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sucks. These people are so, like, they live to serve you here. You know what I mean? Like the service was great to us. So I can't leave nothing. Like, it's not their fault it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be one of the people. I walk out of there, I'm just like every other gringo. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, can't distinguish me. But God forbid they recognize me and go, oh, you wanted French fries. You know what I mean? Like, you wanted this. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I like it.
And so
I like it.
that was my thought. I knew you thought that same thing too, but you couldn't explain yourself on the on that
I
other
don't
pod.
have time. I don't have
You don't have
space. I don't have space.
Well, we made the people listen. Our list again. Our AI producer is going to have to. Do you have anything else you want to say today?
No. I think we're
Some of those things will save. We'll solve the quantum computing problem next week.
I like that one.
Yeah. All right, buddy. I had a good time again, man.
Yeah, thank everybody for listening to the work-related podcast.
No promises on what's going to be related by work.
Yeah, but there'll be something?
No promises.
No promises? Okay.
And we'll see what happens next week.
Yep.